So earlier this week, we received a comment that asked if we could do a video about how to prepare for the studio, because this is quite an important thing. You have to remember that when you're going into the studio, you are actually paying for your time, so you have to make sure that you're using your time in the studio wisely. So you have to prepare. We're going to give you some tips today on how to do that. So the first thing that you need to consider when you're booking studio time is the studio actually the right one for you? Is it the one that you're going to get the most out of? And the way to check this is to simply find their portfolio or their back catalogue of stuff that they've recorded and see if it sounds any good, because if it doesn't, it's a write-off straight away. Usually, in your city, like in Sheffield, how many studios do we have, Lenny? We have like 10 plus studios. Yeah. And different artists will go to different studios for different reasons. Some artists who do like folk acoustic music will go to studios that are out in the countryside to get into the whole ethos of country and nature and all the whole atmosphere of it. And metal bands will go to studios that are in old factories and disused, dirty places because it's the right atmosphere. Atmosphere does actually affect how you play and how the recordings come out. If you record the same song in a bedroom and then go and record it in a factory, it is going to sound vastly different each time. And that is because the way that you're feeling and the mindset that you're in when you're playing something actually does affect the energy that you put into it. It sounds like a little bit of a cliche, but it is definitely something to consider.
A good way of visualising what you've just said is when you look at an artist live, because an artist with energy live sounds better than an artist that does not have energy.
Yeah,
live.
They can be playing the same thing, like the same song, but the people that are into it and that have energy are going to sound better. Maybe it's just a subconscious thing of when you're listening to it, that if you're in the right mood listening to it, then you're going to enjoy it more.
Yeah, maybe it's to do with the pushing and pulling of tempo. Maybe there is a specific thing that humans do when they're energized in terms of timing.
Yeah. Point is, atmosphere affects how you play and the end product that you're going to get. So pick the studio that has the right atmosphere for you. Also, if you like the studio engineer, then go with that one, because if you've got a studio engineer who's a bit of a dick and you don't like him, then you're not going to come out with anything good. You need to know what you want sound-wise before you go into the studio. A good way to do this is to actually send reference tracks to the engineer before you go in to say, we want to sound something like this. And it's a good idea to send a variation of songs in, because you could send 4 songs in by Arctic Monkeys and say, we want to sound like them, which is all well and good if you want to sound exactly like the Arctic Monkeys, but we, of course, encourage originality. And a great way to do that in your recording is to have influence from many different types of artists.
You can do it per instrument.
You can do it per instrument. When I went into the studio the last time, I sent the engineer a track that was how I wanted the bass to sound, how I wanted the vocals to sound, and how I wanted the guitars to sound. And we got a mixture of those 3 and it came out really well. It's kind of a good idea to learn a little bit about mixing before you go into the studio so you can know how you want your track laid out sonically. This will determine how you spend your studio time, because if you've said from the get-go, I want to spend a long time on vocals, I want to layer the vocals up, I want to make them sound like a choir, I want to make them sound awesome and really layered and have a load of effects on them, you're going to need to know that before you go into the studio, so it's not just a snap decision where you think, oh, can we do loads more vocal tracks? Because that's going to take up a lot of time and it's going to mess with the whole workflow and the scheduling of the time that you've got. And it might end up being something that you don't want, so you might have just wasted your time. A really good way to combat this happening is to actually demo your tracks before you go into the studio. Then you will know pretty much what you need to record, in what order, and where you want it laid out on the stereo spectrum of your track. If you're working with a producer, this could also help the producer determine how the song is going to be in its final form, because a lot of producers will say, maybe you don't need that pre-chorus there, or maybe the intro is a little bit too long. If you've demoed the track already, then you can just get that done and dusted straight away. Like, if you bring the demo into the engineer and they say, this is our 5-minute long song, how do you like it? And then the engineer goes, maybe it could do with being a little bit shorter. And if you are going to do a little bit of pre-production with your engineer or producer, then having demos on hand is a really good way of doing that. It's a good idea to bring spare equipment. Even though the studio will generally have spare leads, just bring your own. It's just easier, because if you've broken your guitar lead and you haven't got another one, then the studio guy might end up going to a back room, disappearing for half an hour, and then finally coming out with a cable. You'd never know. So save time by just bringing your own stuff. If you have more than one guitar or more than one type of cymbal, bring it all, because you never know where each one might come in handy. It's not uncommon to have a guitarist play 2 guitars for different guitar parts in one song. When I went into the studio the last time, We had an Ibanez guitar, like a really thick-bodied one that was a really beefy bass sound that we used for the rhythm guitars, and then we had this really cheap tinny Stratocaster that we used for the lead guitar down the middle, which helped give a really nice spectrum of sound. Also, if one of them breaks, because it might do, like Sod's Law is a thing. If your guitar's been fine for the entirety of time that you've had it, and you finally come to record something and it breaks, that's not uncommon either. So just bring spare shit. In an ideal world, you will have your own high quality equipment that has already kind of established your sound. So if that is the case, bring your own equipment, bring your own amps, so you can get your sound as best you can. However, if you don't have access to this kind of equipment and you're just kind of using cheap guitars and cheap drums and stuff like that, maybe look into if the studio has some equipment that you can borrow. Most studios will have in-house amps, some will have in-house guitars.
Yeah, the good quality studios will have record-ready equipment. That's just what they will have.
But you have to take into account, are these instruments going to transfer your sound onto the recording in the way that you want? It's all well and good picking up a Gibson Les Paul and thinking, oh yeah, I'm playing a Gibson, this is going to sound awesome. It might sound awesome, but it might sound nothing like what you want to sound like, so bear that in mind. It's a good idea to bring something to entertain yourself with. If you're a 4-piece band, chances are, most of the time, you're going to be sat there doing sweet fuck all. So bring a book, bring a DS, just something to help you. Because most of the time, yeah, you will be offering constructive criticism to the mix and to how your fellow band members are playing. But say, for instance, your guitarist has gone in to play a solo, and they keep fucking it up over and over and over and over again. You need something to distract yourself. You need something to take your mind away from the song for a little while, so then you can come back to it later with fresh ears.
So it's saying, if you are going to do that, see if you can go in a different room as well, so you're not just constantly listening to the song. That will really help.
If you listen to the same song over and over again when you're recording it, you will become very, I suppose you'd call it tunnel visioned, but it's more like tunnel eared.
Yeah, it's just, you have become, not desensitized to it, but you are so used to how it sounds currently that you stop being able to give actual...
Think about how it could sound even better. So another tip that we haven't actually written down is spend some time away from the song. Go out for a fucking half an hour walk, get some fresh air, and then come back to the song with fresh ears. This can be really handy if you're stuck on a particular part of the song. You don't know how it should sound, you keep fucking up a certain part. Just go and have a rest and walk somewhere, get some fresh air, and I promise you'll come back to it with fresh ears and be able to solve the problem. Also, find out where the nearest shop is to your studio, because chances are you're going to have to do a couple of food runs, because most studio sessions last from relatively early in the morning to the evening. So you're going to need some food. There's something else to be aware of as well. Musicians like to call it the red light syndrome, which is named after the red recording light. As soon as that light comes on and someone has clicked record to record you playing your music, you are going to be shitter at doing it. And it's maybe a subconscious thing because of your nerves or something, but there's just something about that recording button that makes you a little bit worse at what you're doing. So if you're thinking, oh, we're going in one day, we'll record 4 songs, we're really good at it, we're really tight at practice, we can do it really easily, think again, because you are going to fuck up. Unless you are absolute geniuses and have perfected your craft completely and never fuck up, then this is something to be aware of. Make sure you book enough time in the studio to get what you want doing done. If you're doing a single, maybe a day is enough. Maybe not, maybe give it an extra day just in case. It might cost you more money. It might be better in the long run for the actual quality of the product that you're coming out with. Because if you run out of recording time in the studio and you haven't finished, or it's your guitar parts or whatever are subpar, then you're gonna have to pay more to the studio engineer to have more time. It's a money business, I'm afraid. Okay, so that was a few tips about how to prepare for the studio. We hope you found it helpful. If you want to see more from this series, click over there. And if you want to see our best videos, click over there. And have a good day.